Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today is a beautiful, sunny day to dive deep into the heart of Port Charles. We have so much to discuss regarding the upcoming July 1st episode, and I am absolutely buzzing with excitement to unpack every single detail with you all. Let's jump right in. I feel so incredibly electrified by that breathtaking scene at Turning Woods, where Ross Cullum leans menacingly over Jack Brennan's bed. When Cullum hissed, "Your end will be quick, and sooner than you think," I literally gasped out loud. The sheer terror in Cullum's voice, combined with the sterile, quiet atmosphere of the long-term care facility, created a juxtaposition that is just soap opera perfection. I believe the writer's choice to have this deadly confrontation happen in such an unassuming, quiet medical room instead of a dark alleyway is brilliant because it made me feel the inescapable reach of the WSB. Brennan is supposed to be safe there, but Cullum's presence proves that nowhere is truly secure. The way I see it, this is the absolute best they have written Jack Brennan since his introduction. For weeks, we have watched him slowly regain his strength because Nina Reeves and Willow Kane stopped dosing him with that paralytic. I feel so deeply invested in Brennan's physical recovery because it mirrors his shifting moral alignment. He is lying there, vulnerable but alert, and I think the subtle micro-expressions on his face when Cullum threatens him show that he is no longer just a hardened operative. He is a man who realizes he needs an ally. I genuinely think we're missing the point if we don't recognize how this moment sets the stage for Nina's ultimate redemption. Speaking of Nina, I know a lot of people in the fandom are saying this storyline with Brennan is dragging, or that Nina shouldn't be getting involved in WSB business, but I actually think the slow burn is exactly what's needed because I feel like it grounds her character in genuine heroism. When the spoilers tease that Nina is about to make an alarming discovery and potentially walk in on Cullum's assassination attempt, I get literal chills. I love the way the lighting always seems to soften when Nina is in Brennan's room, and if she walks in and clobbers Cullum to save Jack, it will be the ultimate payoff. I think Nina is absolutely right to protect him, and the way she has been secretly keeping him off the paralytic proves she is playing a high-stakes game with incredible intelligence. I feel like we also need to talk about Carly Spencer, because her scenes with Danny and Charlotte Cassadine in this episode are nothing short of a masterclass in character consistency. Carly standing there, looking these two teenagers dead in the eye and giving them detailed instructions for her Windermere rescue mission gave me goosebumps. When she firmly told them, "If you don't hear from me by 8 o'clock, call Sunny," I felt this overwhelming wave of nostalgia and respect for her character. I think this specific dialogue is crucial because it anchors Carly's fierce maternal instincts to her undeniable, deeply rooted trust in Sunny Corinthos. In my opinion, Carly going rogue and deciding to infiltrate Spoon Island on her own, completely ditching her previous agreement to go with Lucas Jones, is the most authentic Carly move the writers could have possibly scripted. I know some viewers are frustrated, asking why she wouldn't just take backup, but I feel like that criticism ignores who Carly has been for the last 25 years. The way I interpret it, Carly cannot bear the thought of putting her brother Lucas in the crosshairs of Ross Cullum's madness. She is taking the burden entirely on her own shoulders to save Jocelyn. I feel so incredibly moved by her decision to make Sunny her absolute last resort, her safety net. It proves that no matter what happens between them, Sunny is the only person she trusts to bring down the hammer if she falls. And let's talk about the incredible tension down in the captivity compound under Windermere. I feel so incredibly proud of Jocelyn Jacks right now. When she stood her ground against Liesl Obrecht and scolded her, asking, "How could you possibly do that?" I was practically cheering at my screen. I think the set design of that underground cell, the claustrophobic stone walls, the dim, shadowy lighting perfectly amplifies the generational clash happening between these two women. Jocelyn is channeling every ounce of her mother's spine and Jason's grit, refusing to back down even when she is locked in a cage. I believe Liesl's announcement that her work is completed and the prototype of Caesar Faison's last project is ready to go online is one of the most devastating emotional beats of the year. I feel like the writers are doing something incredibly profound with Liesl here. I know the fandom is divided on Liesl seemingly giving in to Cullum's demands, but I actually think her compliance is a brilliant showcase of her trauma. The way I see it, Liesl isn't building this prototype because she wants to honor Faison. She is doing it because she is terrified for her family. I think her silence and her averted gaze when Jocelyn yells at her speak volumes. I feel like Liesl is praying for a last-minute glitch, and I genuinely believe she has sabotaged the prototype in some hidden way to protect Jocelyn and the rest of Port Charles. Meanwhile, the standoff happening at the house Jen Sidwell bought for Marco Rios is giving me the most intense anxiety in the best possible way. I love the blocking of this scene so much. Having Cassius Faison stand firm with his gun precariously close to Sidwell's face, while Ezra Boyle watches in stunned silence, is pure cinematic gold. I feel so incredibly captivated by Cassius in this moment. He is a fraud, a man who stole his dead twin's life. But in this specific second, I believe he is channeling the true, righteous spirit of Nathan West. When Sidwell desperately bargains with Cassius, begging to be gotten out of Port Charles and promising to make it worth his while, I think we are seeing the ultimate test of Cassius's soul. I feel like the writer's choice to have Joe Fitzgerald conspicuously absent from the scene, while Justine Turner has SWAT on standby, ratchets the suspense up to an unbearable level. I genuinely think Cassius is realizing that he cannot buy his way out of the mess he has created. I think he is absolutely right to keep that gun leveled at Sidwell, and here is why his body language backs up my take. He isn't flinching. I feel like this is the moment Cassius decides whether he is Faison's dark legacy or Nathan's hopeful reflection. I also want to shine a massive spotlight on the breakfast room showdown at the Quartermaine mansion between Tracy Quartermaine and Giovanni Palmieri. I feel so incredibly delighted every time Tracy is on screen right now, and this standoff is peak Quartermaine drama. The sunlight streaming into that opulent breakfast room, contrasting with the heavy, tense conversation, is just a beautiful visual choice. When Tracy looks down her nose at Gio and demands that he listen to them, meaning her side of the family, I feel like we are watching a master chess player making her opening move. I know some fans are complaining that Tracy's being too harsh on Gio, or that she has no right to judge Sunny's lifestyle given her own history of marrying mobsters, but I actually think her hypocrisy is exactly what makes the scene work so beautifully. In my opinion, Tracy isn't just trying to control Gio. She is desperately trying to save him from the Corinthos curse. I feel like Tracy sees the innocence in Gio, this talented violinist who has been staying with Sunny, and she wants to pull him into the safety of the Quartermaine bubble before the mob violence taints him. The way I interpret Tracy's impending confrontation with Sunny is that it stems from a place of fierce, territorial love. I think the writers are setting up a phenomenal custody battle of sorts over Gio's soul. I feel so incredibly invested in Gio standing his ground though. When he squares his shoulders against Tracy, I believe we are seeing the emergence of a truly great new character who refuses to be a pawn. I think the dynamic of Gio being torn between his maternal great-grandmother Tracy and his paternal grandfather Sunny is the juiciest family conflict we've had in years. Every single thread in this July 1st episode feels like it is pulling tight, ready to snap, and I am here for every second of it. I feel like the pacing right now is absolutely flawless. From Carly's desperate, lonely march toward Windermere, to Nina's impending heroic intervention at Turning Woods, to Cassius holding the line against Sidwell, the emotional stakes have never been higher. I genuinely think we are witnessing a golden era of character-driven storytelling on this show. I feel so incredibly grateful that the writers are trusting the history of these characters to drive the plot forward. Carly using Danny and Charlotte as her lookouts isn't just a plot device. It is a testament to how she views the next generation of Port Charles as capable, resilient survivors. I think her choice to leave Lucas behind proves how deeply the loss of Bobby has affected her. She simply cannot lose her brother too. I believe every choice Carly is making right now is fueled by a potent mix of grief and adrenaline, and it is fascinating to watch. And I cannot stop thinking about the potential fallout of Liesel's prototype. I feel like Jocelyn's righteous anger is the perfect counterbalance to Liesel's cynical survival tactics. I think the writer's choice to trap them together was a stroke of genius because it forces Jocelyn to confront the gray areas of morality. I feel like Jocelyn is going to realize that sometimes doing the wrong thing, like finishing Faison's machine, is the only way to stay alive long enough to fight back. In conclusion, I think this specific episode is a triumph of soap opera writing. I feel so deeply connected to Carly's maternal desperation, Nina's quiet bravery, Tracy's overbearing protection, and Cassius's identity crisis. I believe the show is firing on all cylinders, and I simply cannot wait to see how Carly's 8 p.m. deadline plays out. Will Sunny get that call? Will Nina save Brennan before Cullum strikes? I feel like we are in for the ride of our lives, and I wouldn't trade this current era of the show for anything in the world.